Hey, Bryan, thanks for being on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So I was looking over your company information, and your company has been around for quite a long time. When did you guys start?
1954. So what is that, 64 years now?
Wow, that's really cool. So one of the big things about this show is talking to other people who have businesses that have been around for a long time, and that certainly meets that standard. I think that it's easy to start something, and it's hard to last a long time, especially when you've been around that long. I mean, there's been so many changes in technology and marketing, and I mean, everything's changed business-wise, but a lot of things stay the same, don't they?
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. So I like to refer to my company as a 60-year-old startup company because we're 60 years old and we have we have the heritage and the legacy of the Jacksonville old school business, but we have the innovation and the just the resourcefulness of a startup. So that's kind of how I like to think about it. So
That's a
if
great
you want me
idea.
to, I'll kind of give you the Cliff Notes version. I like to tell you the 60-year history in about, I don't know, 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, I'd love to hear kind of how you got started, how the company got started, and kind of learn a little bit about that.
Sure. So 1954, Mr. Holmes started Holmes Stamp Company, manufacturing rubber stamps in his garage over in the Arlington part of town. And he did that pretty successfully and ultimately moved out of his garage and had a building over on San Marco Boulevard. And mid 70s, my father went to Terry Parker High School with his daughter. And his daughter comes into school one day and says, "Hey, my dad's looking for a delivery driver for this little rubber stamp business." And my dad raises his hand and says, "Well, I'll do that till I get a real job because nobody can make a living delivering rubber stamps, right?" This is the early 70s. And so, fast forward 1985, my father's still doing it. He's past the delivery driver. They've got, I don't know, small business, and he's doing different parts of the company. And Mr. Holmes is ready to retire. He had been doing it for 30-something years. And he sold 30% of the company to my father and 70% of the company to his son, Mr. Holmes Jr. So that they worked together. Mr. Holmes Jr. and my father ran the company at that point. 1998 comes, Mr. Holmes Jr. decided he was ready to retire. So he sold his shares of the stock to my father. So, I mean, that right there is a pretty cool story in entrepreneurialism. My father started as the delivery driver, and then in June of 1998, he owned the entire company.
That is awesome.
Yeah, that's kind of a fun story. So then at the same time, 99er says, when I'm getting ready to graduate, I went to UNF. I got a degree in marketing. So I never really worked in the family business. What I remember was mom and dad saying, "Hey, we're going to pay for your college education." And all I heard was, "Sweet, mom and dad are paying for college. This is an amazing opportunity." And then I went to UNF, and I get on the campus, and I look over in the corner over there, and I'm like, what are all those pretty girls doing? They're doing marketing. Okay, I'm going to do marketing. Right, so chasing the girls, and mom and dad were paying for it. That's how I got my college degree. So here I am, just graduate college, degree in marketing, and ready to kind of solve all the world's problems. So at the same time, dad says, "Hey, you want to join the family business?" Up to that point, my career was at Bennigan's over in Regency or Outback Steakhouse. So, I was like, "Hey, I was a bartender through college, right? So it taught me a lot of cool social skills, but it wasn't really a career I wanted to do forever." So I said, I probably owe it to mom and dad just to kind of give it a shot and see what small business, family business is all about. So I come in ready to solve all the world's problems, and all right, Dad, where's the marketing budget? Where's the catalog? Where's the customer list? Where's the logo deck? And he looks at me and he's like, "Well, what are you talking about? We don't have any of that." I'm like, no, Dad, unless I'm not communicating correctly, because in college they said every small business has this. And he's like, "No, well, we don't." He said, "Here's what we have. We have an opportunity." He says, "Welcome to the team. You're employee number 11. And here's an apron. Get out there and start making this stuff because you've never worked here. How are you going to be Mr. Sales and Marketing guy? You've never worked here before. You don't even know what we do." So I remember going home going, my mom and dad spent all this money on my college education, and now they're paying me $8 an hour with this apron on making rubber stamps. Like, this ain't going to last very long, but I'll probably give it a month or two shot and say I tried and then move on to some other job. So I said that was my commitment. I'll give it a shot. So I did. probably 2 to 3 months into my career, I was out at one of the local beach bars, and I meet this tall blonde, and I was like, wow, she's pretty good looking. And I found out she was an attorney, and I'm like, oh boy, I gotta BS my way through this. So I'm in light manufacturing. That's what I told her.
Light manufacturing.
Yeah, right. I can't tell her I make rubber stamps for a living. She would never talk to me, right? Well, we're about 18 years into our marriage and 3 beautiful kids now. So check. I BS my way through that one. It worked pretty well. But what it really made me do is kind of up my game, right? Because now I'm hanging out with all these fancy lawyers at happy hour, and I'm the rubber stamp guy, and they're all the fancy lawyers, right? And the same thing, this little thing called the internet was coming around. So I was like, wow, that internet thing's kind of cool. What is that all about? So what I would do is I'd work from 6 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon with my apron on. I'd make all the orders that we had. And then I'd go down to my little apartment on University Boulevard, and I'd put my little AOL CD and I'd dial into the modem. Remember those days?
Oh, yeah.
And I'd try to build a website. I'm like, this website thing's kind of cool. It fit our business pretty well. The core products we do are just kind of personalized office products. And, I can make it, put it in a box, and give it to the brown truck, and he can deliver anywhere in the world, right? So I go, let's keep doing this. So I kind of did that pretty unsuccessfully for about 2 years. So now here we are in, I don't know, 2002, 2003, and success hit. In this conversation, I define success as, oh man, we got an order from Atlanta on the website. We got an order from Orlando. We got an order from San Francisco. We got an order from Dallas. Like, that's never happened in the history of the company. Up to that
Right.
point, the 45-year history of the company was Jacksonville, Florida. We had one customer in Atlanta because they used to work at Winn-Dixie, and then they moved to Atlanta, right? That kind of thing. So then I was able to kind of, wow, this is cool. Let's build this website and hire people to do the production. And I was then able to kind of focus on my true passion of e-commerce, sales, marketing, things like that. So kind of let's pause where we are today. We have a little over 100 employees. We have 3 locations. Probably 80 of those employees are on our Jacksonville campus. We have an office in Boston that has about 11 or 12 people. And then we have an office in Austin, Texas that has about, 5 or 6 people in it. So it's been a fun journey. In 2009, I bought the company from my father. He was just more interested in playing golf and fishing. He'd been doing it for 35, 40 years, so he deserved to retire. So, that's kind of in a nutshell the history of the company, and we're just having a lot of fun. We're pretty much transformed almost to a 100% e-commerce business today, just because that's what we like to do. It's fun. It's exciting. We're still growing at pretty rapid growth rates. And, we're building jobs in Jacksonville and having a good time building e-commerce business.
Man, that is a really cool story, and just so unique to hear kind of how it transitioned from, Mr. Holmes originally into your dad and then off to you. There's a lot of people that probably have a lot of questions thinking through that because, there's a lot that happens when you work with other people and then when you work with family and then when, those reins get handed off. So I'd love to talk about kind of the family aspect a little bit because I think a lot of small business owners especially, find themselves working with family, whether they hire somebody or they're working for a parent or there's some kind of transition. I'd love to kind of hear, from you, maybe some of the things that worked really well, maybe some of the things that were more difficult as you kind of learned to work with your dad and eventually took over the company.
Yeah, sure. It was a challenge. My sister often asks me, my sister works at Baptist Medical Center, and she's got a very professional career down there. But she's like, how do you work with Dad? I could never do that. Mm-hmm. And it is a different dynamic, right? And there was a good, from 98 until 09, so call it 20 years that we kind of worked together. And, 15 years or so we worked together. But anyway, he was at a point where he wanted to trust in me, but I kind of had to realize I got to prove myself. I can't just come in as this college grad. This business has been going on forever. I was so scared when I first came into the business that we had an employee walk up to me probably a month within my business life at Holmes, and he's like, "Oh, you're just a kid with a silver spoon in your mouth, and your daddy's just giving you this business." Because it was a pretty successful, profitable business, even when 10 employees for the 40 years it ran. And so I remember going, "Oh, you're such an idiot! No way! I'm not that guy." But then I went home that night, and I'm like, oh shit, what if I am that guy? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to run this business into the ground. All these people have been loyal to my family for so long. Like, I got to figure out how to continue to grow this business because life's not getting cheaper, right? So if you're not growing, you're dying, right? So that kind of motivated me. Or initially, the family that we had there, whether it was my father or the people that had just been loyal to the business for so long. And then also, like, I remember clear as day having a conversation with my dad. Hey, Dad, and this is probably, I don't know, 1999 or 2000 or so. Is there any way that we could stop spending $2,000 a month on the phone book ad? And can I go ahead and maybe build this website thing? And I need a little bit of money to market and advertise the website. And so at first he's like, son, the phone book has been working great for the past 37 years. Why would you ever think about that? You're too into this computer stuff. Just get back there and make stuff, right? But eventually there's an old story. I don't even know if it's true or not, but like, I stole the family credit card. And I'm like, we're building a website. And I had a local friend from UNF that said, all right, we'll pay you $5,000 and we're going to lower our, I remember when the Yellow Page sales guy came in the office and I told him, hey, we're going to take our ad from $2,000 a month to $1,000 a month. And then from a cash flow perspective, okay, Dad, it's not going to cost the company anymore. We're just going to try new marketing ideas. So now I got whatever the number is, $1,000 a month to play with building this website. And so again, because you don't just launch a website and it works, right? It takes time, it takes commitment, it takes strategy. So it took us 2 years of building websites and really understanding, watching what else is going on in our society. There was a day when our parents, we were not comfortable putting a credit card number on the website. No way, they're going to steal from us. You're just going to trust this company in Florida to send you some rubber stamps? No way, you know? Right. So as a society, we kind of had to all evolve through that. And so I think it was getting back to your question. Yes, there's challenges working with the family. Like Thanksgiving is often weird, right? But we just kind of we have a very good relationship. My dad gave me a long leash to fail many times, but then would pick me up and say, you keep trying, because if you're not trying, if you're not failing, you're not trying, right? Mm. So my dad was more, he could tell he was more into the manufacturing, and he really enjoyed just making the products and getting them shipped out. And I really enjoyed the sales and marketing and the networking and meeting new people and things like that. So we had a really kind of good mix where I was the new kind of young spunk of the company, where he was helping just getting all the orders shipped out, that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, one thing in there that you said that I think is really important is that your dad let you fail a lot. and I think that that's one thing that a lot of leaders of businesses, especially small businesses, are really scared to allow their team to do. And I think that inhibits growth a lot, because they get stuck on trying to make sure everybody does everything perfect or exactly their way. And there's just no way to innovate or grow or succeed. One of the reasons that I've been able to grow a business over time is that, I've done that as well. I've failed many times and learned from those things and get back up. And if I don't allow my team to have those same opportunities like your dad did for you, not opportunities to succeed necessarily, but opportunities to fail so that you can learn how to succeed or find out what doesn't work. Like you said, that idea that you spent 2 years working on the website before you got something that actually worked for you. Most people don't have that kind of patience.
Sure. Yeah. There's a lot of instant gratification in the world we live in today. I've worked on this for 3 weeks and it's not working. Well, come on, man. 3 weeks? Really? Come on. So, and we like, you have to temper failing, right? You can't spend $1 million and fail.
Right.
So you got to find little things that and if we spend $500 here and it doesn't work, it's not the end of the world. But if it does work, maybe we should spend $5,000 there. Mm-hmm. So just kind of iterating just understanding where you can fail. So
yeah, I think that's a key idea of allowing people to fail, but not fail catastrophically, because there is a difference.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure, especially when it comes to the whole company.
All right.
One of the things that I'm kind of curious about hearing more about, even though we've talked about a little bit, is this transition from, pre-internet days to current, internet marketing days. Because it sounds like you've shifted now to where the majority of the business is e-commerce business, where at one point there would have been zero business that was e-commerce business before you built that website.
Sure.
And how has that changed your opportunity to grow over time and reach new customers?
So, I mean, I guess it's just the power of the internet in general, and specifically marketing, and pick on one of them, the Google, the biggest one, the elephant in the room, right? So, yes, my wife is like, "You spend how much money a day with Google?" And I was like, "Yeah, we do, but hold on, no, that's too short." Yes, well, pick a number. You spend $2,000 a day with Google. That's crazy. It is crazy. But I now have the data and the analytics that shows me they brought us, $8,000 in sales. Okay, let's do that more, right? So, I think it's just interesting the way data has really influenced marketing, and the opportunity, like for the first 50 years of the company, you couldn't advertise to somebody in San Francisco or somebody in New York. And the products we do, like, I love Jacksonville. I'm born and raised here. I will always live here. I'm in Neptune Beach, and it's the best place that I enjoy. But like, there's only so many people buying rubber stamps in Jacksonville, so
Right.
I couldn't build a multi-million-dollar business. So we had to figure out a way to uh, advertise on Google or Bing or Yahoo or the Facebooks, Instagrams, and all those kind of fun things. So, and I'm telling my team right now, you need to go waste $500 next week on Snapchat, because maybe there's something there. There's a bunch of eyeballs there, and I know that we're not going to sell a lot, but let's fail there, learn some, fail some more, and let's see. Maybe we can figure out how to do some of our product lines selling through different crazy marketing opportunities and ideas. So I think I'm not the smartest guy in the world. It's just timing is everything in life. And the timing I fell into was I had a passion for marketing and had a new tool called the internet, which really changed marketing. So that's where I was able to kind of continue. And we're still having a lot of fun, growing business in Jacksonville and having fun. Now we're outside as well, as far as this office in Boston, this office in Austin. What strategically we're trying to do as a company is kind of follow that Amazon Prime model. My wife orders something, and then she goes and looks at the front porch and sees it's like an hour later. Is it here yet? I'm like,
Right.
Slow down. You just ordered it an hour ago, right? So we're now taking orders off our website, where a year ago, if there's a customer in Dallas that ordered from us, we'd make it, we'd ship it out really quick the next day. Oh man, the UPS guy or the mail guy takes 4 days to get it there, because it's just a geographic thing. Well, now we manufacture that order in Austin. It gets there the next day. Customers are happy. So
Yeah, that's super smart. And the other thing, I think those two things is being willing to adjust over time and figure out where you can optimize your process. I think a lot of business owners get stuck in that mentality of, well, this is how we've always done it. And the idea of going and starting a new location, a new city is kind of scary. There's a lot of details involved there. When you've worked in one city for a long time, you know how things work in that area, and you try and go somewhere else where you don't live and you're not there 24/7. I mean, that's a big risk.
It is. So every risk, you have some sort of pros and cons, right? And the calculation on how risky is this and what's the ROI. And, those are some of the decisions that we all went through when we've decided to continue to kind of expand our manufacturing outside of Jacksonville. It's purely a geographic play, so we can get to our customers quicker.
Yep. Super smart. And the other thing I think you mentioned in that conversation too, which is that there's always opportunity to try out new platforms, whether it be Snapchat or Instagram or, who knows what platform might pop up that might be next. When you guys took over, or when you kind of started in the company in the late 90s, I mean, Google wasn't the king. Yahoo was, search.
Yeah.
And now Google's
Overture was for the old school people.
Yeah. I mean, it's all that kind of stuff that it's easy. I think right now some businesses are treating, Google and Facebook with the same mentality that they did the Yellow Pages, if they're not paying attention to their analytics. The difference is that like you talked about with data, is that now, I mean, this is what I do, is marketing. So, we believe in measurable marketing. And it's the idea that, when you look at your data, it's not necessarily about how many eyeballs I'm getting in front of, but how much am I actually selling? And being able to track that back to the actual platform for people that aren't doing that now. I mean, they're just wasting a lot of money in areas they probably don't realize.
Yep, 100%. Yep, agreed.
So thinking about transition a little bit, one of the things I love to talk about is, you mentioned you've been married for 18 years and you've got 3 kids, and running a business keeps you on your toes too. And so how do you, I don't like the word balance, but it's the thing people talk about, work-life balance. I don't think it's ever 50-50. I have a chapter in my new book where I talk about it being more like a blender. Some days you need a little bit more spinach in your life. Some days you need a little bit more sugar. And so I'm curious from you, how do you see that in your life, and how has that changed over time from, working but not being married, working, being married, working, being married with kids, and then as your kids grow, that changes too?
Yeah, so I'll answer it kind of two ways. Like there was a time in, let's see, I got married in 2000. So sometime in like 2007, wife comes home, or I come home from dinner come home from work done one day. I'm like, hey, babe, what's for dinner? And all of a sudden we start arguing. I'm like, no, we don't have to argue. Like I'm thinking tacos or spaghetti. Like this isn't an argument conversation, right? And ultimately what I found was that my wife didn't like her job anymore as an attorney, and it was just too much stress. We had two young kids, and we had to make a decision. Like, well, we can't both work 60 hours a week at this time in our early 30s. So my wife, we basically made the decision that okay, this little e-commerce company has got a lot of opportunity. I love going to work. I don't have a job. It's so much fun to me. Mm-hmm. So she was able to kind of retire, for lack of better words, from the law firm grind and help raise our family, right? So that's where it was important to be mom. And obviously that freed up my mental brain from, okay, I got my wife that's really helping do mom and raise the kids, because at the end of the day, that's what's really, really important. Sure. So that was, a step that we took. And then as the kids get older, my wife goes back she's teaching at the law school, and she loved doing that because she could drop off the kids to school. Mommy goes to work, teaches her class. Mommy picks up the kids from school. They don't even know mommy has a job. So it's helpful for her. And it also helps me because she at one point was, I don't want to be mom full time. I spent all this time and energy getting this law degree. I want to use it. Right. So the balance has been really a full family balance. Right. So yes, there are days that, I remember a long time ago, my dad, and this is probably like I saw my dad working 80 hours a week and wasn't maybe at the baseball game when I was growing up. And I was always like, that's not what I want. Like at that point, the business owned my dad, right? Mm-hmm. My dad didn't own the business. And so one of my goals early on was I want to build a company that I can disappear from, and I don't have to be like chained to the desk. So now and I just got, again, timing is everything in life, right? This little thing called the internet and iPhones that allow you to kind of work, and you could be at the baseball game, mm-hmm. keeping up with emails or whatever, right? So that's been a huge, opportunity in our generation where you can work remotely, So just last week, I went Thursday and Friday we bought a house up in Tennessee on the river up there because we live at the beach. We love the beach, but everybody needs like second house, a mountain house, mm-hmm. right? So we went up there, and I was able to leave Thursday, Friday, and you know what I did? Because I loved work, I'm an early bird. I got up at 5 a.m. and I did the emails from 5 to 7, caught up with the company, and then I shut the laptop. And the kids, it was a holiday weekend, right? And school's now just getting out, so it's they're sleeping until 9 at least, so I can work from 5 to 9 and get so much done. Right. And then I shut the laptop. They don't even know Daddy works today, and now we can go hang out in the river, or we can go on a hike, or we can go to the waterfall, or do whatever we want to do. So it's using technology to really be able to, understand when you can work, when you can't work. So those are kind of the things. And then on top of that, travel, right? So I do a little more travel than I've ever done between our Austin office and our Boston office. But I do it around, this is going to sound silly, my daughter wants to go see Ed Sheeran in concert. Guess what? Ed Sheeran's in concert on a Friday night in September in Boston. So we're going to fly up there. We're going to spend Thursday and Friday working, and then we're going to go to the Ed Sheeran concert and then come home. Awesome. So those are kind of the little things that I do to try to work on that work-life balance.
I love that. I mean, you kind of epitomize the exact kind of thought process that I have around that work-life blender idea, is that you just kind of blend it all together. And it's not necessarily today's a work day and tomorrow's not. It's, hey, I can wake up a little early and knock out a few hours of work, and then I'm free for the day. And then I'll, if I need to check in on things later this evening for an hour, that's fine too. And as long as that communication's really open, everybody understands that. I just love that, what you said, where you said the business didn't, the business owned my dad didn't own the business. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is so true for so many small business owners. And for a long time for me, that was the truth as well. And I kind of had that mentality of, okay, what do I need to do? I mean, and it took me years to get this sorted out, but what do I need to do so that I can leave and things will just keep running? Maybe not
Sure.
leave
Yeah.
permanently, but leave for a couple days, leave even for a couple weeks, and things will just keep operating. And that's how they are now. And it sounds like that's where you're at too. And that's just such a great place to be for everybody's sake. And that's to your team members' benefit as well, I think.
Yeah, sure. Like, Bryan, get out of my way. You hired me to do a job.
Right.
Get out of my way.
Exactly.
So, okay, I will.
Well,
So,
we're kind of,
I think,
oh, go ahead.
no, that's it.
So,
No, I would say the last thing on that topic would be, as an entrepreneur, you're always going to have this feeling that I can do it best. And you're probably right. You could do it the best. But could you delegate it to somebody else that would do it 80% as good as you would do it? And is that enough? That's the mindset that I've kind of gotten into, that sure, I can run the PPC campaigns better than the guy who's doing it right now. But the guy that's doing it right now is doing a pretty good job, and it frees me up to work on the business and not in the business. So things like that. And just take that, like, the humbling of, I don't have to be the smartest guy in the room. I just need to build a team around me that can allow the company to continue to grow while it's not just me, it's the team that's doing it.
That's right.
So that helps with the overall, message.
I heard a great quote the other day, and I can't remember who said it now, otherwise I'd attribute it to them, but it was basically like, when you're thinking about tasks that are incoming, you need to ask the question, can I delete it, first of all? In other words, does it even need to be done? Second, can I automate it? And if I can't automate it, can I delegate it? And if I can't delegate it, and it really has to be me, the next question was, does it have to be done now? And they were talking about purposeful procrastination. I think it was on the Entre Leadership podcast. It was basically saying, like, what happens with a lot of people is we all operate really well in fires, in emergencies, and we kind of thrive off of them, especially small business owners. We kind of we have this desire to just beat this emergency and fix it. But the problem is, we're not always thinking long term if we're constantly dealing with putting out fires. I thought that was a great way to think about it. Kind of delete it, kind of automate it, kind of delegate it, and if not, do I have to do it now? That was really helpful.
Yep. No, that's a great point.
Last thing I always like to wrap up with is, how do you keep growing and learning? As you know, you've talked about industries changed a lot, technology's changed a lot over time. How do you personally kind of keep yourself learning and knowledgeable? Is it books, podcasts, events, mentors? What is it for you?
It's your blender, because I can name 7 different things, right? Probably one of the biggest thing in the blender, the potatoes behind everything. I'm a part of a CEO roundtable. And I think that's incredibly important, to sit down once a month with 12 other CEOs, and just, none of them are making rubber stamps and signs, but we're all kind of dealing with the same employee issues, sales, compensation, insurance, all those kind of things. So CEO Roundtable is a huge part of my life. I've been doing it for, 12 years now. And we got a great group of, 15 or so Jacksonville companies that we get together once a month. And then the other thing is, like, I enjoy, like, building my team, and some of the team building things we do from a budget perspective and from a time perspective. And I don't know, what's a cool conference in Chicago? Somebody find a cool conference in New York, so let's go to an e-commerce conference as a team. And we don't have to get the $700 a night Marriott hotel. Let's get a VRBO and hit the local Publix, and we'll have a good time doing it, And 4 or 5 of our team will go up there. And then you're right, it's the podcast, which podcasts are made in my life. They've made a huge comeback in the past 2 or 3 years. Literally, my wife was going crazy when we were driving to the mountain house last week. On the way up there, we listened to 11 different podcasts. On the way back, we listened to 12 different podcasts. Just 30, 45 minutes, the Gary V or the NPR, how this was built, or there's just so much cool data out there. So just staying relevant with, again, the blender, right? The blogs, subscribe to, I'm in the marketing, right? So subscribe to some of the different marketing blogs that you kind of want to, as part of my exercise every morning when I get up. I'll go to the gym, I'll come to sit down in the office, and I'll just read the email blogs that have come into my inbox. And I don't have to read them every day, but this morning I felt myself 30 minutes on Adweek, which is just a cool advertising blog, or not the blog, but it's a whole website business. But there's some cool content, and I can try to see how I can incorporate it into my business.
Absolutely. Those are great tips and ideas, and I really appreciate you taking the time to share them with our audience today. If you're out there and want to check out Bryan's business, get some rubber stamps or embossers or name tags or all kind of other cool stuff that they make for your business, you can check them out at homescustom.com. That's HOLMES custom.com. Bryan, thanks so much for being on the show today.
Super. Thanks for having me. I hope we can inspire some people to take their entrepreneurial journey.
Absolutely. Thanks, Bryan.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, I hope this video has helped you with some tips and ideas to build a business that lasts. Make sure you subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss out on the next videos that we roll out. And more importantly, for some awesome free resources, head over to our website at buildingabusinessthatlasts.com. You can get a free copy of my book there where I tell you how I have built an agency that's grown year over year for the last 20 years in a row. So go grab that, buildingabusinessthatlasts.com, and make sure to subscribe to our channel. Thanks. We'll see you soon.